They say every small town has its secrets. For some, it's a hidden tragedy. For others, it's a story parents whisper to scare their kids into staying out of trouble. But in the dusty little town of Redfield, the secret is a motel. It sits on the edge of the highway, long forgotten by travelers who now take faster routes. The neon sign still flickers, even though most of the letters are burned out. It just reads, Moel. The paint is peeling, the lot is cracked. But people still check in, usually because they don't have a choice. Truckers too tired to keep driving. Strangers with engines overheating in the middle of nowhere. Lost souls looking for a bed and four walls to keep the night out. Most of them leave in the morning, shaken but safe. But not if they stay in room 6. That's the story I heard anyway. I didn't believe it at first. A motel room that makes people disappear? It sounded like a campfire tale, urban legend. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. And mine led me straight to the Redfield Motel. I pulled into the lot just after sundown. The air smelled like dust and gasoline. A single light buzzed above the office door, drawing moths in endless circles. Inside, the clerk barely looked up from his newspaper. An old man with a face as cracked as the counter. His voice was flat, uninterested, when he asked, "One night or two?" "One," I said. "Room 6, please." His eyes flicked up then. Sharp, alert, suddenly younger than the rest of him looked. "You don't want that one." "Why not?" He hesitated, then said, "Plumbing's bad." I smiled. "I'll take my chances." For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, without another word, he reached under the counter and slid a tarnished brass key across the surface. No plastic card, no computer, just an old-fashioned key with a crooked tag that read 6. The hallway smelled of mildew and old smoke. Faded carpet muffled my footsteps as I found the door. The key turned stiffly, and the lock gave with a groan. The room inside was exactly what you'd expect from a forgotten motel. A sagging bed, a buzzing lamp, a TV from the 90s that probably didn't work. But the air was wrong. Heavy, stale, like it hadn't been breathed in years. I set my bag down and closed the door. The lamp flickered once, then steadied. I told myself it was fine, just an old building, nothing to worry about. But then I saw the mirror. It hung above the dresser, cracked across the corner. And when I looked into it, just for a moment, I thought I saw someone else standing behind me. A shadow, still, waiting. I spun around. The room was empty. I laughed it off, but my voice sounded hollow. And in the silence that followed, I realized something. The mirror wasn't cracked before I walked in. The first hour passed quietly enough. I unpacked my bag, sat on the edge of the bed, flipped through the TV channels, static on everyone. No surprise there. I kept glancing at the mirror, though. The crack ran jagged across the glass like a lightning bolt, catching the lamplight in ways that made it seem alive. Every time I looked, I half expected the reflection to move without me. I told myself I was being stupid, just nerves, just stories I'd heard and nothing more. Then, around midnight, I heard it. A sound, soft at first, like whispering. I muted the TV, straining to listen. The whispers grew clearer, though I couldn't make out the words. They were coming from the walls. I pressed my ear against the faded wallpaper. The sound was definitely there. like dozens of voices speaking at once, too fast and too faint to understand. Then suddenly, silence. I pulled back, heart racing. The room was quiet again, the kind of heavy quiet that presses against your chest. I decided to step outside, just for air. The hallway was dark, one bulb flickering near the stairs. The rest of the motel seemed deserted, though I could have sworn I heard footsteps retreating when I opened my door. When I came back inside, something had changed. The mirror. The crack was gone. Not just healed. It looked like brand new glass, clear and smooth. But worse than that was the reflection. The room behind me looked the same, but I didn't. My reflection wasn't sitting on the bed. It was standing, closer to the dresser, head tilted slightly, as if listening. I blinked, and the reflection snapped back to normal. I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay there in the dark, listening to the hum of the lamp, the occasional groan of the pipes. Every time my eyes drifted shut, a voice whispered just loud enough to jolt me awake. By dawn, my nerves were frayed. I almost convinced myself to leave right then, to check out, to pretend none of it happened. But I needed to know. So I went back to the clerk. He was sitting in the office, same paper in his hands, though he wasn't reading it. When I walked in, he lowered it slowly. "You stayed," he said. Not a question, a statement. "Yeah," I answered. "What's the deal with that room?" He studied me for a long time before speaking. Some people hear things. Some people see things. Some people don't come out at all. I tried to laugh, but it caught in my throat. "And you just keep renting it out?" His eyes darkened. "I don't rent it. People ask for it. Always room 6. Doesn't matter if I warn them. They ask. Like you did." My mouth went dry. I wanted to argue, but part of me knew he was right. I hadn't chosen that number by accident. Something had drawn me to it. When I pressed him for details, he leaned in close and whispered, "Check the Bible in the nightstand." Then he picked up his paper again, as if the conversation was over. I went back upstairs, hands trembling. I yanked open the drawer beside the bed. Sure enough, there was a Gideon Bible, its cover worn and stained. But when I flipped it open, the pages weren't filled with scripture. They were filled with names, dozens, hundreds, scrawled in different handwriting, each followed by a date. The most recent was only 3 months ago. The sight of those names froze me. Page after page, written by different hands. Some neat, some desperate, some smeared as if the ink had been dragged by shaking fingers. The oldest date I could find was from the 1950s. The most recent, just a few months ago. I whispered one of the names aloud. Michael Harris, April 12th, 1987. The air shifted. The lamp beside the bed flickered, buzzing louder. I looked up and caught the mirror's reflection. There was someone standing behind me, not a shadow this time, a man. Pale, hollow-eyed, wearing a faded jacket from another era. His lips were moving, whispering words I couldn't hear. I spun around. The room was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, he was still there, closer now. I slammed the Bible shut and shoved it back into the drawer, heart pounding. The figure vanished, but the whispers returned, stronger, threading through the walls, the floor, the air itself. That night, I didn't dare turn off the light. I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, trying not to blink. At 3:17 a.m., the door handle rattled. Soft at first, then harder, turning, shaking. I leapt up, pressed my back against the door. "Who's there?" The rattling stopped. Silence. I slowly leaned forward, peeking through the peephole. The hallway was empty. When I turned back, my blood went cold. Every piece of furniture in the room had shifted. The dresser angled toward the mirror. The chair pushed closer to the bed. The Bible, which I had shoved in the drawer, now sat open on the nightstand. A different page exposed. One line scrawled in shaky ink. "You don't check out." I backed into the corner, staring at the words, shaking my head. "This isn't real," I whispered. The mirror trembled, not cracked, not broken. Trembled as if it were water instead of glass. And for the first time, I heard the voices clearly. They weren't whispers anymore. They were screams. I dropped to the floor, covering my ears, but the sound came from inside my head, echoing, endless. When it finally stopped, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't alone in that room anymore. There was someone breathing in the dark, right beside me. I didn't dare look. I could feel the breath on my skin, slow, steady, inches from my ear. Finally, I forced myself to turn. The room looked empty, but the air was heavy, pressing down like a storm about to break. I stumbled toward the lamp, clutching it like a weapon, though deep down I knew light wouldn't save me. Then I heard a voice. It wasn't a whisper this time. It was clear. "Don't leave me here." I froze. The sound came from the mirror. I turned slowly, my heart hammering. The reflection was wrong again. This time it wasn't me. It was someone else entirely. A young woman, maybe in her 20s, with tangled hair and hollow cheeks. She pressed her hands against the glass, her mouth moving in desperate silence before the words finally broke through. "They never let us leave." I stumbled back. "Who are you?" Her eyes darted to the Bible on the nightstand. I grabbed it, flipping pages until I saw it. Her name, Sarah Klein. July 3rd, 1974. My stomach twisted. She'd written her name in the book. She'd been here. And now she was trapped in the glass. Her reflection flickered, and for a second I saw others crowding behind her. Dozens of faces, pale and hollow, all pressed to the inside of the mirror. Their mouths opened in silent screams. I dropped the Bible. The lamp went out. Darkness swallowed the room. And in that darkness, hands brushed against me. Cold, thin, reaching from nowhere. I lunged for the door, yanking it open. The hallway was pitch black, though I knew the lights had been on moments ago. I ran anyway, my footsteps echoing too loudly, too many echoes, as if someone or something was running with me. I burst into the office. The clerk was still there, sitting behind the counter, staring at me with dead eyes. "You shouldn't have opened it," he said. His voice was flat, like it was coming from a great distance. "Opened what?" I demanded, breathless. He nodded toward my hand. I looked down. I was still holding the Bible, though I didn't remember picking it up. The pages fluttered, though there was no wind, stopping on a blank space beneath the last name written. The pen was already there, pressed into my palm, waiting. The clerk leaned closer. His face wasn't old anymore. It wasn't young either. It was shifting, flickering, as if it wore too many faces at once. "They want your name," he said. I dropped the Bible and stumbled back, but when it hit the floor, it was closed again. And when I picked it up, my name was already there, written in my own handwriting. I stood frozen, staring at the Bible in my hands. There it was. My name, my handwriting, today's date. But I hadn't written it. At least, I didn't remember writing it. The clerk was gone. The office around me looked abandoned, the wallpaper peeling, the counter covered in dust as if no one had touched it in years. A single moth circled the dead bulb above me. I stumbled back into the hallway. Every door was open now, every room gaping wide like a mouth. Inside each one, I saw glimpses, shadows pacing, figures pressed to the windows, voices murmuring my name. Room 6 waited at the end. Its door stood wide open, the dark inside pulling at me like a tide. I told myself I wouldn't go back. I told myself I would run. But my feet carried me forward anyway. Inside, the room looked different, cleaner, newer, as if time had rolled back. The bed was made, the lamp glowed softly, the mirror was whole. I saw myself in it, but it wasn't me now. It was me, checking in, smiling at the clerk, carrying my bag, closing the door behind me. The reflection repeated it again and again, looping endlessly. "Don't," I whispered. My voice cracked. "Don't go in." But the me in the mirror never listened. Behind the glass, the faces crowded close once more. Sarah, Michael, and so many others, their hands pressed against the inside of the mirror, their mouths forming the same word over and over. Stay. The Bible fell from my hands. When it hit the carpet, the pages flew open to a blank sheet, and my name burned itself across it, glowing red, searing deep into the paper. The light flickered. The air grew heavy. I realized then the truth. No one leaves room 6, not really. You don't check out. You just join the reflection. The last thing I remember is the glass rippling like water, cold hands pulling me through. Now, when travelers stop at the Redfield Motel and ask for room 6, I wait for them. I watch them through the mirror, smiling the same smile I saw on my own face once. And when they open the Bible, they see my name, written there forever, right before they add their own.